I challenged myself to edit a video in the German language. But the thing is, I don't even speak German. Now, just to be clear, I am learning the German language. The only thing is that I'm still at the A1 level, which means I cannot understand conversations that easily. Not only is this about me trying to learn, but this is also going to be a very good guide for you guys, the video editors out there, who are looking for clients. But the thing is that when it comes to those clients which tell you to edit a video in a language which you don't know, so you end up losing those clients, right? But the thing is, there is a way for you to get those clients, edit videos for those clients without even having to learn the language. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to do that. So if that's something that you're interested in, make sure to watch the whole video. And with that being said, los kids. Now for this video, I tried to find videos on YouTube, but it was hard to find a good video to use as an example. I even tried to reach out to different channels. I wrote emails to them, but nobody was interested in collaboration. So I decided that, you know what, I'm just going to pick a random video, find a podcast, and just pick a random video from that and just use that. Now I did end up finding this channel. This is called Ungescripted by Ben. And I found this podcast to be much more better than the other ones that I found. Even though I don't watch this, I don't know anything about it. But I thought that this would be better. The video quality is better. So I just decided to pick that based on this reason. Now, this is the video that I'm going to be using as an example. Feuerwehrmann is called Firefighter. Here's how you pick the video. Now, since this is a podcast already on a YouTube channel, what I did was I just copied the link, went over to Gemini, and I said, analyze this video. And then I added this link for the video. And then I wrote and find the parts that can be made into viral reels. And also give the timestamps for the parts. So this gave like different options, different timestamps for us to choose from, and also the title of the video as well. And also gave a context that, okay, so this is the context of the video of the clip or the timestamp, you can say. So I decided to go ahead and pick out the third one over here that says 4 jobs in 18 months. And this is the timestamp from 15 minutes to 15 minutes and 31 seconds. By the way, I'm just showing you the process. The thing is that you will be able to get the assets from the link in the description, and you will also be able to get the footage that I will be cutting for you. So you don't have to go ahead and do this. I've already done this. The only thing is that I'm just showing you the process. If you want to do this, this is the way to do it. But otherwise, you can just go ahead and download the assets and get the footage and just start using it. And by the way, if you want to go ahead and start watching from where I start editing, you can just go ahead and skip to that timestamp. Next step is to generate a transcript from the video. So what I did was I went ahead and I used OBS to screen record the video part that was given from Gemini, the timestamp that was given in Gemini from 15 minutes. I just went ahead and I did the screen recording. So you can also go ahead and do something similar like this. But of course, we don't know the language that much. So it's easy to make mistakes doing this. So just make sure that you follow the timestamps given by the AI or Gemini in this case. And if you already have the video, that's much better. So this is just to show you because I'm picking the video from YouTube. So it's already uploaded on YouTube. So that's why this is the way that I'm doing it. But maybe if you have a client who already gave you the footage, so all you need to do is just go ahead, go on Google and search for transcript from video, and you can use any transcript generator, online transcript generator. So for example, this is the one that I'm using called Turbo Scribe. I don't know if this is the right pronunciation, but this is the one that I used and this worked really well. So what I did was I just uploaded the video and then it went ahead and generated the transcript for us. And make sure to change the language as well. So in this case, I'm picking the German language and just hit on transcribe and that's it. By the way, they haven't paid me for this. I'm just showing you because this is a tool that I found really useful for generating transcripts. And then you can go over to this icon right here and then click on export transcript and then just export it as docx. All right, so once you have downloaded it, you can just go ahead and see that this is how it will look. Now, once we have the transcript generated, we can just go ahead and upload it on Gemini and just type in translate this. And that's it. So this will translate the transcript for you. We don't just need a simple translation. We need a translation of the language, the target language, and also in English or your native language, whatever the case is. So we need that side by side. So this is the way to do that. So for this, you can just say, give me the lines or sentences being said side by side, first in German and then in English. And this will help you know what's being said sentence by sentence. So this is a very good way to know what's being said in the video at what line. So make sure to break it down line by line. All right, so here you can see it has generated. First, there is the German script, and then we have the English translation for it. Now, what we can do is go back to the transcript that we downloaded, and we can now just go ahead and add in the English translation and also break it down into different lines. So this is how I did it. Then we can just open up DaVinci Resolve and drag in the clip that we recorded or the footage that you already have. And for the timeline settings, you can go over and unselect the use project settings, go over to format and click on use vertical resolution. These are the settings that I'm going with. So just drag in the footage on the timeline and you can now start making the cuts. So what I did was I just went ahead and I added cuts where there are silent parts. And I also changed the zoom and the position so that this fits in the screen. Now, of course, like I said, the footage is already done. So I'm just showing you this process just to give you an idea that if you're editing a video footage, especially the footage, the raw footage in a language which you don't know. So you need to be really careful. All right, so now let's go ahead and drag in the footage in our timeline. So this is the rendered footage that I have, and this is the footage that I'm talking about, which is present in the assets folder. So now from this part, we will go ahead and start our edit. By the way, if you want to download the whole project file, the complete project file, you can go over to my Patreon and subscribe. And not only will you get this project, but also many different projects that I do in my tutorials, you will be able to get the project files and of course the templates as well. All right, so this is the next step. And this is going to be the most important step. So make sure not to skip this part. This is important for any video that you do. It's good to do the storyboarding. But the thing is, when it comes to the video in which you don't know the language, it becomes even more important. So right now, I opened up Figma. So this is what I use for storyboarding now. I used to do this even on Microsoft Word, but I found Figma to be much more effective. And of course, I will be making a video dedicated to how to do storyboarding for your reel editing. But in this one, I'm just quickly going to show you what's being said in the video. I won't show the whole process, but I will be making a video soon and I will try to link it somewhere over here so that you can also watch that and learn how to do effective storyboarding for your reel editing and even editing in general. So this will be a very good practice for you. All right. So the thing is, over here, I have this script. So I just went ahead and I added the script right here, as you can see. So let's go ahead and see what this is. Now, if you remember, we went over to Gemini and we broke down the script into different parts along with the English translation. So right here, as you can see, this is the first sentence. This is the second one along with the English translation right here. So this is a good way for us. And by the way, I also added the number so that we remember, okay, this is the first scene. This is the second scene. So basically the way that I'm looking at it is these are different scenes for the video. Now, the thing is, what we're going to do is we're going to also add the scene. So, for example, this is like the scene one. So let me just go ahead and press Control C to copy and then just unselect and then press Control V and then press Control V until we have like 7 scenes. So right here, we have like these 7 scenes. Right. By the way, ignore this one for now. So I will show you what this is later on. But right now, we just need to focus on the script. We need to highlight the parts from the script. So since we don't know the language, but we have the translation, let's go ahead and focus on the translation. So right here, it says, we are firefighters. So of course, the video is related to firefighters. Let me just go ahead and change the color to black. Let's delete this one. All right. So right here, you will notice the most important thing is firefighters. So let me just go ahead, highlight this. Let me just go ahead and highlight this, firefighters. This is the word for firefighters. By the way, of course, we need to do the captions as well. So we need to know which word is what. By the way, you can also do a word by word translation as well. Since I know a little bit German, so this is easy for me, but you can also go ahead and ask Gemini to do a word by word translation for you as well. And that would be much more better. By the way, right now we're just going to find the keywords that we can then use to maybe find assets. This will help us plan the scenes basically. So first thing we have is firefighters, then training. As you can see right here, training. Okay, so fire department, we can like show a building or something. Let me also like say building. Years. We can maybe show some timeline or something. By the way, this is just rough. You don't really need to. This is just the planning. So you can get out any idea that you have by looking at the word or whatever you have in mind. You can just go ahead and type it. You can even draw it or something. But this will really help you when you're finding the assets. All right. So right here we have like a half year truck driver license profession. All right. Let's move down. Profession fire. So we have fire over here. Let's move down. Paramedic. So we have the paramedic, private sector, work, qualification. For the qualifications, we can use like a certificate. Certificate. Swimmer. You can use like swimmer. And of course, like this is a rescue swimmer. Lifeguard. That's the word. Lifeguard. All right. So I think for this scene is can be just like the talking head video. So I can just say like D because this is the talking head. I think I should do it from here. Yeah. So let's go ahead and say, okay, we're going to have the talking head, the person talking in the video, stay right there with the captions. And in this one, we can show like a lifeguard animation. So we can show like a lifeguard animation, motion graphics, and then let's move up. And in this one, of course, we also have paramedic. So for paramedic, we can divide this. When he says like paramedic, I think this is the word for paramedic. So right here, up till this sentence, we can say, okay, we can have like a animation for the paramedic. And then it can continue from this side all the way to down. You can just be the talking head video again. All right. And then this one, we have like becoming a firefighter, putting out fires. So I think from this part, we can keep the talking head video. And from this part, we can have like an animation for firefighter, for fire basically. Or we can show something like maybe a footage or a B-roll for firefighter putting out fire or something. Let's move up. This one, by the way, I should have gone from top to bottom, but it doesn't matter. We don't know the language, so it doesn't matter the way that you do it. Right now we're just deciding on how we can do it, right? What can be possible, right? This is just rough. This is literally the rough process. Okay, so the next thing is truck driver. All right, so for this one, we can just completely do like a motion graphics part where we show like a truck driver or his license. We can also show like a license or something. Okay. Now let me just type in card. We can show like a card. Right here it says fire department. Okay, so we can also have like motion graphics here showing the fire department, showing a building right here. And right here we can just start with the talking head. All right. So now you see we have like this plan, like a rough plan you can see. Now I know this is a simple video, that's why it doesn't take much time, but of course if you have like a 1 minute video, this will take more time. And do try to give more time into planning, just like I did right now, because this will be very good for you to then select the assets. So right now I won't just go ahead and show you the whole process of selecting those assets. I will just go ahead and do it myself quickly, but this was just to show you how you can go ahead and just use the English translation to then decide, okay, this is the thing that can be added, or this is what we can add into the scene. This is what we can take out, this is how you can plan it. So I'm just going to quickly go ahead and do this now, and then we will go ahead and get started with the video. By the way, you don't have to do this. I've already selected the assets. You will be able to access them from the link in the description, the folder that you downloaded for the footage as well. So in that one, you will have the footage and also the assets. So that's already done for you. This is just to show you the process of when you're going to do this on your own. This is the way that you're going to do it. So let me just go ahead and complete the assets, and then we will go back to DaVinci and start editing. All right, so I went ahead and I completed the storyboard, as you can see. based on the script that I have over here. So this storyboard is complete for each scene. And by the way, I will, like I said, I will be making a complete dedicated video on how to do storyboarding. But right now, I'm just showing you this is what I did. So we're going to start implementing this in DaVinci Resolve. So let's open up DaVinci. And again, go ahead and make sure to download the assets from the link in the description. So here I have all these assets. Let me just go ahead, create a new bin, call this assets, and import this, import all of this right here. All right, so the way that we're going to do that is, so right now, as you can see, I have these captions. So there will be some scenes where we will just have like on-screen captions, but there will be some where we will have this motion graphics. So there are two ways to do it. Either you can just go ahead and add in do the captions first and then do the motion graphics, or you can do the motion graphics first and then do the captions. So in this video, I will be doing the motion graphics first. So right now, as you can see, so right here, I have this timestamp. So let me just go ahead over to that timestamp right here. All right, so let's go ahead and drag in the fusion composition right here. And this is going to last until 8. So 803. So let's remove this right here. And by the way, this is the advantage of writing all all the notes right here. So for example, I went ahead and I added the notes, added the timestamps for each scene. So the duration of the scene, I've also added it. And of course, I've also added some description for what is going to happen in the footage itself. So you can also go ahead and try something like this if you're making a video from scratch. Right now, just follow what I'm showing you. So just go ahead, add in the fusion composition from this time up till this time. Yeah. So now let's right click, open in Fusion page, drag in a background and connect this with the media out. All right, so right now we see that we have this image. So let me just go ahead and drag in the image in the assets. So this is the background fire station. This is the same background. The only thing is I have blurred it. So I will add a blur node to this and then connect the blur node with the background. And using the blur, let's go ahead and make sure the blur is, click on the blur and then go ahead and change the size. So I'm just going to keep this around 20. Now let's go ahead and add in the firefighter image. Connect this with the merge one. And also I'm going to add in this transform and use the size to resize. And let's go ahead and position this somewhere around here. Now let's go ahead, drag in the background, and also let me go ahead and drag in the rectangle mask, connect both of them. And now let me go ahead and select this. So this is the rectangle. Let's select the color code from here and add this in right here. Now I will just resize this. And now let's start adding the text as well. Again, for the text, I'm just going to copy this from here. By the way, you can also go ahead and do the same thing from the script, the transcript that you can find in the assets. You can also copy the text from there. So let's go ahead and write this right here. Now make sure to select the same font. So we have Montserrat and black. Let's go ahead and do that. And this is all capital. So we can just right click, click on expression and change this to string dot upper. And we will have this capital text as you can see. All right. And also the rectangle position, let me change this. Now for the second text, let's just add this in. Copy the same settings from here, paste them right here, connect this right here, move this down, and let's go ahead and change in the text. Now this time you need to do it from here. So when you have this expression, you need to change it from here. And now let me just position it to this side. And for the background for this, we can just simply add in a rectangle again, connect this with the rectangle that we have right here. And actually we can just copy the settings from rectangle 1, paste them in rectangle 2, bring this down, reduce the width, and reposition this. For the animation, I'm just simply going to go over to 5, add in this opacity from 0 to 5. Okay, so from here we have the second line starting. So we can go ahead and do a little different animation for this. So for example, right on, let's change this to 0. At 25, let's reveal this in. Perfect. Now let's add in more text. Actually, before adding more text, we also need a background for that. So let's go ahead and add in this rectangle background. And this time the color would be this one. Also, let's change the corner radius. Add in a text. Connect this right here. Let's copy these settings from text 1. Control C. Paste settings. And right now for this one, we can just go ahead and type in this one. Copy this from here. And like I said, you can copy this from the transcript that we have. And now let's go ahead and change the position for this. And for the color, using this color code. Now we can go ahead and do this manually. Adjust this manually. All right, let me just copy the text from here. Let's copy the text from here and paste it right here. Connect this. Move this down. Let's copy this. Paste it right here. Increase the size so that this matches the text above. So something like this. All right, for the background, we also need the animation. So let me go ahead and do that. So rectangle 1. Let's go over at 10, create a keyframe at center, and at 0, let's move this out. And for this one, let's go over at 17, change the width to 0, and then at 25, we will keep this right here. So at 0, we will go ahead and change this to 0. All right, so for the text 3, we can do a right on effect as well. All right, so for this one, let's do a opacity. All right, so from 40 to 46, we will fade this in. And now for the background, this background as well. Let's go over at 30, create a keyframe at center. And then at 25, let's move this out. And also for the image that we have of this person, the firefighter, we can also go ahead and create a keyframe at size. And then all the way to the end, let's change this to 2.2, let's say. All right, and now I'm going to add in this transform. But before I do that, let's go over to the spline. Make sure to select all these keyframes. So for example, we have this transform 1 for the resize, the rectangles for the backgrounds, and also the text itself. So let's select everything. Click on zoom to fit, press Ctrl A, and then press S on the keyboard. So this will give an ease in effect. Perfect. And now using the transform tool, we can add some camera movements. So let's do that. So right here from 0, let's create a keyframe at size and at center. Let's move over at 10. Let's zoom this in, move this to the side a little bit and also a bit down. Something like this. And then at 15, just create a keyframe for size and center again. And then let's go over at 20. Move this a little bit out. And then at 25, create another keyframe. And then let's move over at 30. Zoom this even further in. And then up till 45, we can keep zooming this in. And also slight movement towards the X, towards the left side. And then right here, where we have this keyframe at the end, at 47, let's go over at 52 all the way to the end, make it back to the default position. So we can just go with 0.5, 0.5 for the center and 1 for the size. So if we now play this, now the reason why I did this transform is to add the camera movement, and the reason why we need a camera movement is to show a fast-paced movement throughout the video. Try to make it a little bit towards this side so that this word is a little bit more visible, readable for the audience. Yeah, so you see? So this will add a more dynamic look to the overall presentation of the video. Now, of course, for the transform tool, we also need to go ahead and so let's select all of them, right click, and then go over at ease and select out cubic. So this looks good. And now if you go back and watch this, so this looks good. All right, so we have first motion graphics done. And now let's go back and see what's next. All right, so the second one starts right here from 08. So right when this ends, we have another motion graphics coming in. Let's go ahead and add in another fusion composition. And this will last until this time right here. So 12, 12, 16. All right. All right. And in this one, we have this animation for the time, the truck, and also like a driver license. So let's go ahead and make this first. Right click, open in Fusion page, add in a background, connect this. Now for the background, let's go ahead and use the same settings that we had right here. So let's go ahead, select this background in the radial. So let's go ahead and select this. By the way, this is just white. So let me just go ahead and do that. And also for the type, we need to change this to gradient and the gradient type to radial. Also, let's move this radial to the center. Change this to white. And now let's select this one. Copy the color code from here. Go over to this side and paste it right here. And for this one, let's also move this out a little bit. And also I'm going to add a vignette effect. So press Control space and search for vignette. And let's increase the size to 0.8. Now let's go ahead and add in this F that you see in the background. This is just to add a little bit more better look to the overall animation, overall presentation. So for this, I'm just going to select this text, connect this right here. Let's just type in F. The reason I'm typing in F, you can, by the way, use any other letter or any other word that you want. The reason I'm using F is because it's firefighter, so that's the only reason. All right, now let's go over and change the font to Montserrat. All right, so let's go ahead and change the color from here, black. And now let's go over to the shading and change this to 0.1. Now let's go ahead and drag in this hydrant. Connect this right here. Let's increase the size. By the way, I will add the transform node and use that. So let's increase the size a little bit. Move this right here. And we're also going to add some animation. So right click on the angle, go over to modify width, and then just click on anim curves. Let's go right here. So we're going to keep this at 15 and we can do a little offset. So let's keep this at 8. Now let's go ahead, add in another hydrant, add in another transform node and connect this. And now we can just copy the settings from here, transform 1 and paste settings right here. But this time let's move this towards this side, reduce the size a bit. Let's move this up, reduce the size even more. And in the modifiers, we can of course change the offset, -45. And now let's add in the hourglass and add in this transform, reduce the size, move this up. And also we're going to do the same thing we did before, copy the settings from this transform, paste them right here. And again, we do need to change the position. So let's move this up. Actually, you need to move this down. So, and also again, resize. And again, in the angle, I'm going to change this to 0 for now. So this is how it will look. And now finally, we need to add in the text. So let's go ahead and do that. Copy the text from here, paste it right here, move this down. And this time I'm going to right click and click on character level styling. Go over to modifiers and let's select this one. The first line right here, change this to Montserrat, add black. We also need to right click, click on expression, and then select the text and then replace it with string dot upper. And now let's select this one, the bottom text, and then go over to font, change this to Playfair display. All right, just to make it visible, I will select this again, copy the color from here, and change the color right here. All right, so this is more visible now. And now we can select this one, the text at the bottom, and slightly, let's go ahead and reduce this. And now we can select all of them and then change the line spacing a little bit. And right here, we have this in italic. So let me just go ahead and change this to italic. And by the way, we can also go ahead and blur this out so that the focus is not right here. So in order to do that, we can just simply go over to this point right here. So right after the media in 1 and 2, which are these two, as you can see, we can just go ahead, add in the blur. And by the way, this will also blur the text in the background that we have, this F in the background, and also the background itself. Let's go ahead and change this to 7. Just so that we get a light blur. We don't need to do too much. All right, so for the text, what we can do is we can either use the write on for revealing this in one by one as the word is being said, or you can also just add a simple reveal in using the mask as well. So this is up to you totally, but for me, I will use the write on. So let's go ahead, add 3, change this to this position, create a keyframe, and then at 0, let's change this to 0. And then 1 frame ahead, let's add in. And then at 5, create a keyframe, move 1 frame ahead, add in this one, and then create a keyframe right here. So this just depends on the word. So you can just do that word by word. And then right here, let's create another keyframe. And then at 15, let's reveal the rest of this. All right, so we have this done up till this point. But the thing is, right here, I have 3 different scenes for this whole animation. So right here, there will be a movement effect. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so for this one, in the main timeline, let's go ahead and create a duplicate for this fusion composition. In the first one, we will just keep this as the background. So let's go ahead and let's remove everything from here. Only keep the vignette and the text that we have right here and also the background. And now let's go over to this composition, open in Fusion page. And for this, Let's go ahead. First of all, let's remove this from here, the vignette, and also let's remove this from here. And in the background, let's just keep this at solid and then change the alpha to 0. And now we can just go ahead and using the transform, we can just use the transform and then change the position for this as soon as the dialogue is finished. All right, so at 30, or you can say at 27, as you can see right here, we have this hourglass rotating. I added this and then swipe left to get truck. So we will just swipe this left and then get this truck right here. And also one more thing is the shadow right here. So I forgot to add the shadows. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's add the drop shadow for all of them. I'm just going to reduce the drop distance and that's it. By the way, we don't need this on the text. It doesn't look very good. So for the text, what we can do is just simply move the text to this side and just keep the drop shadow right here. So this is how it would look. All right, one more thing. Right here, when we had the first, you can say composition, the previous composition, we had a zoom out effect right where we have this ending. So we can just go ahead and continue that zoom out effect in the new fusion composition as well. 5 frames or 6 frames, you can say. So let's move 6 frames ahead, go over to this composition, and in the transform, let's create a keyframe at size, and then at 0, let's move this in right here. So you see, this is how it looks. All right, so right here we have the second dialogue coming in. So we can just go ahead and change this. So let's go over at 26, create a keyframe at center, and then over at 30. Let's go ahead and move this out. Now let's go over to the transform 4. We need to go over to the transform 4. And from here, first of all, let's select the size. So let's go ahead, select this, press Ctrl A to select both of them and hit S on the keyboard. And then now let's select the displacement only. Select all of them and hit S on the keyboard. And also while we have the transform selected, go over to the settings and also enable motion blur. And in the main timeline, right where we have this cutting, right here, let's go ahead and resize this. Also create a duplicate, but let's move this up right here. Let's go back to the fusion composition right here. And you can just go over at this position where this transform is starting, and then you can position the next fusion composition right above it. And let's move this right here up till this point right here. Now let's go over to the fusion composition right here. Let's remove the transform, keep the hydrants because we have the hydrants in the second scene as well. And now we just need to add the truck. So let's go ahead and do that. Unselect this, remove this time, and just add in this fire truck. But for the size, let's resize this. And also I'm just going to go ahead and remove this. So let's delete the anim curves and change the angle back to normal. So this looks good. And this one, I will just move this up a little bit. Something like this, reduce this even further. So something like this. And of course, we need to change the text. So let's go ahead and do that. Double click on the right on. We will do this again. All right, so right here at 10, we're going to reveal this in. So let's add in a transform right at the end. Create a keyframe at center, and then at 0, let's just move it to the left. All right, and also let's go over to the spline. Select the keyframes from here and hit S on the keyboard. And it's also move the keyframe. This first keyframe, let's move this and create a curve like this. Let's play this now. All right. And also we're going to add in enable the motion blur from the settings. So let's just keep this at the default. All right. So let's go over at 10, create a keyframe, add right on, make sure that nothing is enabled. Then add 15. Let's add in the first line. And then add 19. Create a keyframe and add 20. Let's add in this. Copy. Outside. Cup. Hook up. All right. And at 27, create a keyframe and then add 28. Let's reveal in the rest of it. All right. And one thing for the truck we can do is let's go over to the transform and let's go all the way to the end. Create a keyframe at center. Move this towards the left side and then add 0. Let's move this towards the right side. So something like this. So this will add a more dynamic look. And for the final one, let's again copy this, move this right here. And for this one, we just simply have okay, so for this one, we just have the license card. So we don't really need to create another one. We can just simply keep this all the way to the end. So right click, open in Fusion page again. And for the text that for the transform that we did for the truck, we can go right here, create a keyframe, and then let's remove this one from the end so that this remains all the way towards the end. And the only thing that we need to do is just add in the card as well. So let's go ahead and add in the card image now. Drag this in right here and move this right here. But let's go ahead and keep this at difference. And we're just going to add in another transform node. At 40, let's create a keyframe at center. And then let's go all the way to the end. Let's go over at 60, create another keyframe. And then the one at 40, we're just going to move this down. And now let's go over to the spline, unselect the keyframes, only select the transform 5, unselect the transform 4 as well. Make sure only the transform 5 is selected, and then select these keyframes and hit S on the keyboard. Now if you play this, let's play the whole thing. So we have the second animated scene done as well. Now we're going to move towards the other one. All right, so for the fourth scene, we still have a talking head video, but then at the end, we will have an animation. So for this one, let's just see. All right, so right here, the animation is starting. So we can just create another copy for this composition. All right, so this is ending right here at 17:09. So I will just resize this again. So for over here, this is simple. We just need to add this image right here. So we can create another copy for this. And instead of just animating for the transform, let's remove this and let's change the position for the transform 1. Let's move this right here. Also, let's remove this. Add in this firefighter 2 image. Connect this with the transform. And let's resize this. So let's make sure that this is the default position. And also, let's remove the modifiers on the anim curve. So make sure this is static. And actually, let's increase the size. And for these ones, the fire hydrant right here, I will reduce the size. Position this right here. Reduce the size for this. Position this right here. Now we'll just go ahead and quickly do the text like I did before. And also let's add in the transform right here. So I have the text done. I will just add in the transform, create a keyframe at size and change this to 1.1. And also in the transform right here, select this, hit S on the keyboard. Actually, let's change this to 0.7, 1.07. All right, so we have this scene done as well. And now for the next one, we're just going to continue this. All right, so let's go right here and make this a little bit more towards the right. Let's relength, or you can say reposition this so that we can also add another transform movement from here, from this position. So let's go back to the composition, create a keyframe right here at 23 at center. And let's go all the way to the end and just move this towards the left again. And again, let's enable the motion blur. And now we will copy this, move this right here. Go over to this Fusion page. And then right here, all we need to do is just change the image to paramedic. Reposition this towards the center. Let's move this out. But actually, let's just reduce the size for this actually. And for this one as well. Or we can just move this towards this side. Actually, for this one, let's move this right here. So let's go right here to 5. In the transform, let's create a keyframe at center. And then at 0, we're going to move this towards the left. And right here, we're just going to remove this. So let's remove the keyframes from here. All right, so this transform, this hydrant right here, I will move this again towards this side, but reduce the size. And for the text, I will just write this again. All right, so I went ahead and I added the text for this animation as well. All right, so right here, we're going to add in the next animation. So let's just copy the background. So right here at 27, we're going to resize this or reposition this, and this will be the final animation. Let me go ahead, copy this, add this in, open in Fusion page. And for here, let me just first of all remove everything, add in this rescue image, increase this. And for this one, I'm just going to go ahead and also add this transform node and the pivot. Let's move the Y up right here up till this point. And now we will just use the angle to show an animation going on. So for example, right here at 0, let's create a keyframe at 23 and all the way to the end. Let's move this right here. All right, so for this fusion composition, let's go over to the inspector and change the composite mode to darken. Perfect. Now, one more thing we need to do is you will notice that we have these text right here. So if we need to remove it, we can just simply use this polygon so that we can cover the whole thing. So let's do that. And now I will just quickly do the text right here. All right, so I went ahead and I completed the text as well. Now right here for the transition, we can go ahead and move the person outside the screen and then make the next scene come in. So let's go over at transform, which is at 23 to 30. So let's go over at 30, create a keyframe, and then add 40. Let's move this outside the screen. And then remove this one from here. And also one more thing, right here at 30, let's just move this here as well. All right, so you see this right here, we could also remove this using the mask that we had, the polygon mask. So we can just go ahead and remove this. And then we can just go ahead and add in this one. So let's create a copy and move this right here. Reposition this. And let's go ahead and remove this transform, this polygon. Even let's remove the text for now. Let's go ahead and add in the images for this. Let's reduce the size, position them. Let's keep this right here. Add this in again. This time let's position this right here. And now we just need to add the text. All right, so the text is done as well. Now let's see how this looks. All right, so right here, let's go over to this fusion composition. And we still have this text, so we need to remove this. So by the way, when this goes outside the screen, we can just remove this right here at 50. So let's do that. And we can fade this out. And then we can go over to this composition again, add in another transform, create a keyframe at angle, and also change the pivot all the way to the top, go over at 0, and let's go ahead and move this angle outside. Something like this. Now, one more thing we can do is, if we go all the way to the end, we can create a keyframe for the angle. And this one right here, we can just keep this right here. Perfect. And now in the transform, we can ease this in. Perfect.
Okay, packen Rechtschreiber und als Bademeister arbeiten kann. Das heißt,
All right, so our animations are done. The motion graphics is done. Now we just simply need to do the captions. So we can just go over to, let me just first of all reduce this. So for the captions, what we can do is, let's go over to the effects. And in the titles, let's drag in this text plus. Let's just type in, let me go back and let me just go ahead and copy this. Paste this right here. Go over to layout. Change this to 4. And let's change this to 1. Actually, let's go ahead and change this to 3, 5. This looks good. And now let's also change the font to Montserrat. And this will be at bold. So let's change this to bold. And also let's go over to the shading. Go over to 2. Click on enabled. Click on outside only. Go ahead and zoom this in. You will notice the difference. So if you change the thickness, right now this is how it looks, but we need to change this to black. All right, now let's go ahead and move this right here to the gallery. And this will create a template for us. Now we can remove this. Now let's go over to workspace, go over to scripts, click on auto subs. All right. And now in this one, we need to select the track 1, which is this. And the video output, we can go ahead and change this to add to new track. And we can just keep the base template for text 1 that we just made. And the language this time is going to be German. So let's select this. And for the subtitle line rule, let's go ahead and change the word limit to, let's change the line count to 2. And the word limit, let's change this to 3. And for now, I'm just going to remove the punctuations. So let's go ahead and start the transcription. First of all, this just exports the audio and then generates the captions. So let's click on add to timeline, and this will now add the subtitle or the captions right here. But of course, we need to make some adjustments. It's not always accurate. And for these ones right here, where we have the graphics coming in, we can just simply go ahead and remove this because the captions are already done.
Das heißt, geht schon zügig. Ich kann es vorher auch machen, weil ich bin Feuerwehrmann. Da habe ich, ihr kriegt Specialitäter in der Landwirtschaft arbeiten, ist viel Fabrikstadt und die Bauleitbestimmer, wo ich als Bademeister Outside arbeiten kann. Das heißt, in 1,5 Jahren mache ich fertig 4 Monate, so wie ich arbeiten kann.
All right, so the captions are done as well, and they look good. I will just make minor adjustments to the captions, but otherwise the video has been complete. So all you need to do is just go over to the export and let's just go ahead and select the YouTube. This is the one that I used. This is the preset that I used. And you can just go ahead and select the location and go ahead, add to render queue, and then click on render all. And we have the video done. So this was it for this video. I hope you found this video useful. And if you enjoyed the video, let me know in the comments. And if you want me to edit maybe in another language, you can also mention that. So with that being said, this was it for this video and see you in the next one.
Aber wir sind Feuerwehrleute und wir haben so viele Ausbildungen in unserer Grundausbildung alleine. Also unsere Ausbildung bei der Feuerwehr geht 1,5 Jahre. Und in diesen 1,5 Jahren mache ich einen LKW-Führerschein, was schon mal ein Berufsstand für sich ist. Ich werde Brandmeister, das heißt, Berufsstand für sich, ich kann Feuer ausmachen und ich bin Feuerwehrmann. Dann mache ich einen Rettungssanitäter. Ich kann mit dem Rettungssanitäter in der freien Wirtschaft arbeiten gehen, ist wieder ein Berufsstand. Und ich mache einen Rettungsschwimmer, wo ich als Bademeister auch wieder arbeiten kann. Das heißt, in 1,5 Jahren mache ich quasi 4 Berufe, womit ich arbeiten kann.